Happy Friday, folks. Hope you guys are doing well. Graham G.S. Matthews here, back with another installment in the Injection of Inspiration series, where I offer helpful advice, motivational tips, etc., etc. For anyone hoping for a random video blog here today, per the tradition of the random video blog going up on Fridays. It'll be up tomorrow. I apologize for having to switch the schedule this week, but I felt it was necessary to put this video. If I put it up tomorrow on the 11th of February of 2017, it wouldn't have the same effect for me. For you wouldn't give a shit, but for me, just because February 10th holds a very special place in my heart, as it was 5 years ago that I officially decided I was going to embark on a more positive path in life and embark the PMA shit I always talk about, positive mental attitude, adopt a more optimistic outlook on life. And I talk about it all the time here on the show. I've probably said it in different forum, in different ways, and shared different stories that kind of led me to that point. But I figured I would share the official story of what led me to kind of adopting, as he said, a more optimistic outlook on life 5 years ago today, February 10th. And I've shared stories here before on Injection of Inspiration. This is the 10th installment, the 10th edition. So over the past 9 editions, if you haven't already checked them out, please do so, covering a variety of topics from when you know you found the one, dealing with death, all this other kind of stuff in the past couple months. For those who have checked out the series, who have watched these videos, listened to my advice, listened to my stories, let me know that you enjoyed them. All that other kind of stuff is amazingly appreciated. If these kind of stories can impact or affect, or someone can learn from them, if only one person takes away something from these videos, something from these stories, then my job is done. Then I feel accomplished. All it takes is one person for me. So anyway, like I said, February 10th, 2012, a very important day for me. It's crazy to think it's been 5 years. I was a junior in high school at that time. Now I'm mere months away from graduating college. And not to say that had I not embarked in a more positive path in life that I wouldn't be at where I am today, but I honestly do think that if I was still the same person that I was prior to all the events that occurred throughout 2011 and 2012 and early 2012, that I definitely would not be friends with a lot of people that I am today. I don't know if I would. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the people that you interact with and you befriend throughout your lifetime are people that you kind of share you have a similar mentality to, or you have something in common, or you're both. I mean, like I've said before, you surround yourself. You are like you are the sum of the 5 people you are, constantly surrounding yourself with. And if you're surrounding yourself with negative people, then you are probably going to be a pretty negative person. I mean, you can always overcome that, and sometimes it's beyond your choice. I've talked about all this before, so I know that's kind of besides the point. But for me, like I said, I was a junior in high school at the time. 2011 was an interesting year. I mean, it was not a good year, but I hate to say, I always hate saying that. I even always catch myself saying, I said it a couple weeks ago here on the show, in one of our first few, if not the first installment of the new year of 2017, that you can't blame it on I'm not saying 2011, oh, what a shit year. The year sucked. It was for me. It was nothing having to do with the year or what happened to me. It was what I did, really. Like I've said before, shit's going to happen to you in your lifetime, but it's really a matter of how you react as you take responsibility for your actions and how you respond to what happens in your life. And that dictates what happens to you in the future. That's my personal belief. If you don't agree, that's fine. If you do agree, even better. That's awesome. It's all purely, being subjective. That's all purely opinion. But anyway, like I said, so without sharing each event and each story, which I'll probably do at some point, I'm sure, one story, and I know Jason knows exactly what I'm talking about, and I've only shared it with a select few people, it can take a long fucking time to tell. It takes a very, 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 very long time to tell, upwards of an hour. And so maybe for a future installment, an extended edition, we'll do a podcast version of the story. And I don't even know if I can really condense it, because I shared a condensed version of the story a couple days ago with a friend, and it still came out at an hour long, and that's without sharing each minute detail. But anyway, so really one major event that I was at fault for in 2011 was what kind of directed me on a more positive path after a few more things happened in late 2011. And by the time that year ended, I was pretty fucking miserable. And I've said before too, depression is dependent on the person. When I classify myself as clinically depressed that period in time, probably not. Like I've said, people will always have it worse. If I had depression, I had the most mild case of depression of all time. I wasn't cutting myself or doing anything dumb. Really, I don't know if, like I said, I can really classify as depression. I just was not happy with where I was, which is pretty much normal for anyone, but I wasn't happy with who I was either. And you always want to, try to better yourself and want to be better and, try to get to a better place in life. That's normal. But with me, I had a more, not serious case, but like I said, I wanted to, just with everything that happened throughout that 2011 year. And I've said before that with all the bad stuff that happens, it really just kind of serves a purpose for the future. Everything happens for a reason. And you have to go through the tough times in order to enjoy the good ones. So I didn't really realize that prior to that point. But by early 2012, I had some relationship stuff going on with one person that I was connected with. In late 2011, I didn't really go anywhere as a result of, again, my own actions. And I was really digging in my own grave at that point by lashing out at people. And I've said before a couple episodes ago, you can't overreact. You cannot underestimate people. Even if life is not what you want it to be at one specific moment, you have to have faith that it will get better, and it is going to get better. You have to know that. Not only have faith, but you have to know that it always gets better. You know what I mean? Sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. I didn't realize that at that time. I just took pride in being angry. I was angry all the time. I was angry at myself. And I soon realized that for so long I had pointed the finger at other people. That person fucked me over. That person screwed me over. Blah, blah, blah. They're at fault. They're at fault. And it came to a certain point by January of 2012 that I said to myself, it's my fucking fault. I got to this point in my own life by being a fucking asshole to other people. And in some cases, it wasn't always my fault. And I don't know if I would say the victim, but through how I reacted to these situations, I was again at fault, and I was making my own self miserable. And it was also around that period in time, I like to share at least one inspirational quote in each of these installments. So one quote that I came across around this period of time, I know I've shared it before. It might even be on my profile. It was for a while, like on Bleacher Reports. Not anymore, I don't think. Now I have a quote from Doc Brown on there. If you guys know, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. But a good friend of mine had it on his profile, and I thought it was so prophetic. I thought it was so fitting, so perfect for what I was going through at that time. And ironically, or not really ironically, but coincidentally, it was by a writer named by the name of, I think, Cynthia Nelms. And the quote was, "No one cares if you're miserable, so you might as well be happy." And that's so fucking true. Like, people will, feel bad for you. People will be there for you if you're miserable, if you're going through something, if you're grieving. Like, people will be there for you. But if you're intentionally trying to be miserable to kind of get the attention of other people, which was what I was doing for such a long time, throughout 2011, early 2012, that's what I did. I just felt bad for myself, and I wanted other people to feel bad for me so I could get attention. And no one gives a fuck. If you're not happy, no one gives a shit. Not saying that people should only be there during the best of times and all that other kind of stuff. I'm not saying that at all. But if you want to be happy, you will make a definite effort to be happy. Like, you can't settle in your own, sadness, in your own being miserable. Like, miserability, is that even a word? I don't think so. But depression, I guess, is another synonym to use. But you want to have to be happy. I've said that before. And I didn't want to be happy at that point in time. But once it came to a certain point, by February, I said to myself, now I want to be happy. I got to put this stuff behind me. And I think the first step in allowing yourself to accept a more positive attitude is letting go of the past. I'm not saying forget the past, don't acknowledge the past, don't look at the past, because that's where we learn from stuff. The past is so fucking important in order for us to build upon those mistakes, in order to make a better future for ourselves and other people. But you can't harp on the past. You can't harp on the past. You can't, rely on the past to solve the future, always. Like, if you live in the past, you'll miss what's going on right now and what's going to happen in the weeks, months, years to come. You're going to miss what's right in front of you, which might be absolutely amazing, but you're too fucking busy looking in your rearview mirror. You got to let go of the past. You can learn from it, but you can't live in the past. What's happened has happened. And that's the thing. It's in the history books, but it happened for a reason. Even if it was something shitty, because every shitty thing that's ever happened to me at that point, and even stuff in recent years, I'm happy it happened. Maybe not at that moment. I'm like, oh, I'm not happy. And I'm happy this shitty thing happened to me, but I'm happy in retrospect that it happened just because I know that it led to something better later on. Had that stuff not happened, maybe I wouldn't be here sitting here talking to you right now about these experiences. So then came February 10th. Why I chose that day, I really don't know. I just remember looking at the calendar and thinking like this is the day I have to move forward. Not like months in advance, but I just remember seeing the day like 21012. That was the date, February 10th, 210, like 210, and then 12. And thinking that was just kind of cool, so a good way to do it. I mean, you could start any day. Like I've said this before with New Year's resolutions, you shouldn't wait until January 1st to be a better person or to make new goals for yourself. You should start right this fucking second. But it wasn't like I was doing this months in advance. It might have been like maybe a week at most. It wasn't, that far ahead. But when I told people I didn't really tell people. I probably should have kept it to myself, but being the person I was at that point, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be starting new or whatever. And people thought I was alluding to suicide, or some people that were close to me. And once I, clearly established that was not the case, they were nowhere to be found. They were not happy for my newfound happiness. They didn't really give a shit. So like I said, no one cares if you're miserable. They only care if you're happy. Which is true, but I feel like with those kind of people that aren't really your friends, they just want to get that inside scoop. And like I said, this is fucking high school. That's the way that high school is. But if there are people there for you that just want to, I don't know if it's make a name for themselves, but want to save their own ass and save face by helping you out. But if they know you're not going through a tough time, they don't give a shit what's going on with you otherwise, that's not really a true friend. And I figured that out pretty quickly. And it is in those times of darkness, during those dark days, so to speak, you will find out who your true friends are, who is there for you. And once those dark days are over, you will also find out who are your true friends, who's still there, that still gives a shit about your well-being, that's there for you in the best of times and in the worst of times. They're not only there when things are good, they're not only there when things are bad, but they're there all the time for you, giving a shit about you and who you are and what's going on and all that other kind of stuff. So like I said, that's another important lesson to take away from this, is that you'll find your friends in those dark times as well. Another reason why dark days and stuff are also very important to go through. We all go through them we all go through them at some point, at one point or another. It might be in high school, it might be in college, it might be later on in life, it might be in our 40s. It doesn't matter when it happens. And you might never have an extended time that you would call like, oh, I was really like clinically depressed during that point in time. Like you might not even have that. I feel most of us do. Just it happens at different stages of life, and there's not one code book or one rule book that you can read that says it's going to be over in this amount of time. It's very dependent. It's all subjective. Depending on who you are, it could pass in a couple days. It could pass in a couple weeks. For me, I realized that it wasn't a stage that I was going through. That's just who I was. But who you are now is not who you're destined to always be. You can fucking change yourself. That's the real message I want to send here, was that I wasn't happy with who I was. So I started looking at the positive. You always have to stay positive, even in times of, even in times where you're freaking out, or in, times of tragedy or wherever. You have to stay positive. Because if you don't, you already fucking lost. You have to maintain a positive attitude. And complaining about it ain't going to help anyone either. I found that out very, very quickly around this time as well. So since February 10th onward, not only have I, and tried to embark on a new path and making my own self happy, and you can never be 100% happy. And I also found out later on down the line, and I might have shared this in a video as well, I think I did in the Achieving Ultimate Happiness video, is that you will never be ultimate happy until the day that you are dead. But it's the journey that will make you happy. It's not the destination. It is the journey. It is the journey that is life that will make you happy. You have to do stuff that makes you happy. You have to find something that makes you happy to begin with, and surround yourself with people who make you happy, make you feel appreciated, love you, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like I said, people aren't going to be there for you. If you feel sorry for yourself, if you feel like that you're a piece of shit, then people are going to look at you like a piece of shit. You have to know your worth. If you don't believe in yourself, how can anyone else believe in you? You are not going to get anywhere in this life if you are not confident in yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, no one else is going to be happy with you either. Like, you can't make anyone else happy unless you are happy. But something can be said that making other people happy is what makes you happy. And if that's the case, that's perfectly okay. Again, all dependent on the situation, the lifestyle you live. It's all subjective. But the reason I bring this up to you, like I said, the 5-year anniversary, I celebrate that today. I'm really happy about that. You just got to keep, you got to stay motivated. And I feel like I'm tying all my past themes of all my past videos all into this one installment here today. And that's not to say this is the final one. I have many more topics I want to discuss in the future. But But I just feel like a lot of people go through that and they just kind of forget the basics. It really is just a matter of mind over matter. It really is just a matter of staying positive. And if you can maintain that optimistic attitude, fucking anything is possible. There is no limit. Not even sky is the limit. There is no fucking limit for you. If you can achieve that, if you could take that key and unlock your own destiny. I know how that sounds cliche and stupid as hell, but it's so fucking true. I was going through a time, even about a year ago, and about spring of 2016, again, a whole other story, maybe for another day, where I felt like I didn't know what the future held, which is how I kind of felt back in 2011, almost exactly 5 years earlier. I didn't really know what was going to happen. I knew where I wanted to go with WWE, not professionally speaking, but with stuff that was going on at that time. I can't really elaborate now because it's not really all that relevant to this video. I feel like it's a story in and of itself for another day. But it was another one of those times where I was I was literally miserable, especially at one point in time for at least a day or two. Something had happened that I had no control over, that something I'd found out about, and I was literally shaking as I was going to bed that night because I was so, it rarely ever happens, but if something traumatic happens, I will just start shaking out of anxiety, in anxiety attacks and shit, pretty serious stuff. Maybe not too serious, but I don't know. At that time, I went through that kind of stuff on occasion. It came to a point I had to put this shit behind me and have to focus on making myself positive, making myself happy. Otherwise, how can I achieve my lifelong dream of making other people happy and making other people feel better about themselves and making them, helping them adopt a more optimistic attitude on life, optimistic outlook on life as well. And I didn't really have that for the longest time up until 5 years ago today. And like I said, just because you adopt a more positive attitude doesn't mean everything is going to be roses and peaches and going to be all fucking great. Like I said, I went through a tough time about a year ago, and it comes and goes, but about a year ago was the worst that it ever got for a very long time. For, again, another story I'll share on another day. But it just came to a point where I was really, really fucking miserable. And I remembered that quote that I came across 4 years earlier, that no one cares if you're miserable. They only care if you're happy. So you might as well be happy is the exact quote. Sorry, Cynthia Nelms. But yeah, again, maybe I'll share that story for another day. I feel like that's a story in and of itself and in relation to a whole other variety of things and worrying about things that are beyond your control. But it just kind of goes back to the basics of being happy. You have to want to be happy in order to achieve happiness. That's just the way that I feel. Again, that's my own experience. Who the fuck am I to say? I'm only 21 years old. If you're 30, 40, we're no better than one another. Everyone is equal, in my opinion. You might have more experience, but I might have different experiences than you, just because we all have different experiences. It doesn't make one person better than another. We're all equally wise. For some people, it just takes longer to figure out. It lies within them. Some people that are immature in college or at the high school level, you might think that they're dumb. They're really not. I think they might just kind of undervalue or underestimate their own, ability to figure things out about themselves. It just takes time. So again, this is all over the place. I apologize. But yeah, February 10th, 2017, big day. Really happy for the 5-year anniversary or 4-year anniversary. I don't know. Anniversary. It was 5 years ago to the day I adopted PMA, which is what I always talk about. Positive mental attitude, really the key to anything. And without it, I definitely would not be where I'm at with, and I definitely would not know who I do. I could definitely safely say that. And a lot of the people I interact with, either online and in person, are fucking phenomenal people that I cannot thank enough for everything they've done for me and everything. So being there and shit. But I don't want to get all soft on you guys. But yeah, so just have, just to think about some stuff to think about this weekend on this glorious day of February 10th. 2017. And no, Jason, it's something going on today. He talked about February 10th in one of his videos. Check it out. Cheap plug. Blue eye disorder. Hopefully nothing went down today. Negative anyway, because he had a night terror about that a while ago. So definitely check out his videos for more information on that at Blue eye disorder. Cheap plug, my brother Jason. When I was out there checking this out, listening to this video, be well. But yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Like I said, the random video blog will be up tomorrow here up on the channel. So check it out when you get a chance. Ranking my top 5 favorite WWE Elimination Chamber matches. Matches that took place inside the Elimination Chamber, that is. That'll be up tomorrow. So until then, guys, just have a phenomenal Friday, and I'll catch you guys down the road.